my happiness level has gone through the roof, which then in turn boosts my confidence in everything that I do, definitely including real estate. So I think if this makes sense, joy just kind of pours out of me whenever I'm in front of a client because I love what I get to do and I love what I get to talk about and share what I know with other people. So everything through this has made my confidence go up 100%, which then in turn, I'm way happier. This is a good feeling to get to live in. It's just happiness, comfortable and happy.
Even for producing agents, there's a difference between getting deals done and truly owning your conversations, your pipeline, and your confidence. In today's episode, you're going to hear from agents who weren't failing, but who were ready to level up and did. All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. My name is Mia. I'm taking over as host today for the Reside Platform podcast. And I have 3 guests with me that are incredible. I've been with them now for several months. They've been through our training at Rise and Reside. And today I just want to pick their brain and understand a little bit more about what the process was like before, during, and after going through our 6-week training in Rise and just what their experience was. These 3, I'm not calling them teachers' pets by any means, but I mean, I'm definitely fond of them all. I've got Erin Allen from Washington. I've got Jessica No from Oklahoma, and I've got Shaqueal Frazier from Florida. I'm so grateful that you guys are here. Thank you for being here today. Yeah, and I'd love to just get to know a little bit more about you guys, or let people get to know a little bit more about you. So, Erin, I'm going to start with you. Tell me about how long you were in real estate before you got to Rise, what your business is looking like now, and then I'll dive into some questions here in a minute.
So I've been an agent for 10 years. 5 of it was on the East Coast. I lived in Manhattan for 5 years, which is a very different style of real estate, less collaborative, significantly more sharp elbows. When I moved out to Washington, I got pretty sick. And so kind of redeveloping the habits of that is why I got to Rise. But I've been in Seattle, Washington for 5 years now as well. And what was the last part of the question?
Tell me a little bit about what your business looks like right now.
My business has never been more busy. I was producing about 10 million a year on average before Rise. And when I started the Rise program and started building in those habits and like knowing what some of those key metrics were, I've 6X'd my business in that time. So pretty cool.
So cool. So cool. And you were, and still are technically, but when you were in Manhattan, you were acting, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I moved out there to do Broadway. I got pretty close a couple of times, but never got on the big white way. So, but we'll probably do some more shows out here in Seattle at some point.
I love that. Yay. All right. Well, I want to hear more about that. All right. So Jessica, she actually overachiever, 3rd time in Rise right now. And I got to say too, I have a very strict on-camera policy, engaged policy, and it's not because I'm like, everyone, you need to pay attention to me, but like we hold a high standard. And she still continues to show up, right? And I'm very impressed by that. So Jessica, tell me a little bit about you, your business, like where you're from and how you got here. And so, yeah, tell me about Jessica.
Well, first off, I really appreciate you saying that I'm engaged because anytime I'm going into a Rise class and I'm around people, I say, hey, you can't talk to me. I can't look up and talk to you. I can't be walking and talking. I can't be in my car. I have to be staring at my screen or she's kicking me off and I'm not doing that. So just keep me on. But however, hi, yes, Jessica No here. I'm a pandemic baby. I always like to call myself a pandemic baby realtor. I got in during the pandemic, and then I also, in the same breath, like to joke, but I didn't have to go back to the restaurant like a lot of other people. So I'm still here and I'm still making it work. So I love it. I've been doing this for 5 years. To be honest, getting in on the pandemic, business was booming. It was kind of hard not to have great sales. I did 22 houses in my first calendar year. And then the next year kept booming. Next year met my now business partner, and that's who engaged me in Rise. But I did have a very good lull last year. So I'm really glad for everything I've had in Rise.
So awesome. Yeah, you're with Amanda, right?
Yes. She's amazing.
Tell me what your business looks like right now.
So I love that I can say this, and it might not be the best thing to say, but right now my business is comfortable and I haven't had it be comfortable in a very long time. So I'm kind of just basking and reveling in
getting off the roller coaster.
Yeah, just being able to breathe, knowing that I have systems in my own mind and with Follow Up Boss set up for the future business so that I'm not stressing about the future. I'm just comfortably able to give more to my clients now in person. So I'm not so worried about the future right now. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, no, I know. I understand what you mean when you say, like, maybe it's not the best thing to say to be comfortable, because we always want to be growing. And that's the level of peace of mind I want you to have in your business, is that it's not that you're not doing enough. It's that you're not stressing about where the next deal is coming from because you're in feast or famine mode. So I love hearing that. I do. Hi, Shaqueal. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing really good. I'm glad you're here. Tell me a little bit about what you were doing before Rise, and a little bit about you, how you got into real estate, and what your business looks like right now.
All right, sure. Well, how I got into real estate is I was recruited by my broker here at Remax. I was a print and marketing supervisor at a Staples for a good little while, and I used to print out all the books that his agents used because he also ran a school at the time as well. And he kind of just saw something in me, and it took him like 3 months of coming in and convincing me. And I finally listened to him, decided to go through his school, passed everything, did the state exam, passed it on first try. He got me into a team. At that time, it was 2021 here in Florida. That time, it was a crazy seller's market. Everything was like $50,000 over asking price, appraisal gap addendums, all those type of things. And at that time, I was strictly a buyer's agent. So getting tossed into the field at that time, got a lot of experience in that helped me out for the future, but it always felt like I was missing something. And then I switched teams, and then on the team that I'm currently on now, they joined Reside, and it changed everything for me, like astronomically. Like now I have like so much stuff going on, kind of like how Aaron said, my business has like multiplied. So it's been crazy. It's been life changing.
So cool. So tell me about that business right now. Like, what does that look like from what it was before?
So I always joke with some of my teammates because I used to be like terrified of like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get listings. How am I going to handle listings? Because for a long time, I was strictly a buyer's agent. But now I have 8 active listings. I've got 2 under contract. So we're doing a lot of stuff right now. And I did not see it coming. It's crazy, but I'm very thankful. I thank God. Thankful for all the support that I have on the team and where Reside. And it's, like I said, it's been life changing.
That's so cool. Okay. I didn't think about this until right now, because as I'm listening to your guys' stories, it's making me a little bit emotional. So I am not going to get emotional on this call, but I just want to let you know that I'm feeling the feels of seeing your guys' success. So freaking cool.
You're changing and affecting lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
You guys had to do the work. I mean, I accept that and love and appreciate it, but truly, you did the freaking work. You kept showing up. You kept persevering. Like, that's all you. I just got to be a part of the journey, which was really cool, but you guys did it. And it was always in you. It was always in you. All right, so I've got a few questions here for you guys. That's just curious, because what I'd love to be able to accomplish in our call today is for people to understand firsthand what that experience looked like for you. Because I do mention this in Rise that it's not a motivational training. You will feel motivated, but it's highly tactical, and you have to do a lot of deep work around yourself to be able to get through the process. And so I'd love to unpack that with you guys. So this is open forum. Just I'll call on you as you have answers, but I'm curious, what felt hardest about getting traction, especially with leads or conversion, as you were getting your business ramped up?
Okay. So for me, it was definitely the confidence part that came with like learning all the scripts and learning how to get over the objection handlers without sounding like I'm reading it from a piece of paper, without sounding robotic, like trying to get it down enough to where I can integrate my own personality into it took a long time.
How did you overcome that?
By just doing it. There was no other way of getting over it besides just going through it. So I practiced it a lot. Like I did some in the mirror. I listened to my phone calls. I had friends that are not agents that I used it on so they could embarrass me and everything, and I could get over it. But yeah, it just going through it was really the thing for me.
Yeah.
I like to call that feet first.
Yes. Yeah. So Jessica or Aaron, what about you? What do you think was the hardest about getting traction, especially with leads and conversion initially?
For me, it was just building the repetition of comfortably asking the right questions to get them to want to stay engaged with me. Sometimes I would feel like I would start to ask the next question before they could even finish answering the first one that I had just asked, just because I was so nervous to get the right questions asked that it kind of did feel a little robotic a little bit, or me talking over them. So it took me I would have to go on walks around my neighborhood and make my calls while I'm walking and my body's moving, so that way I'm distracting most of my consciousness and it's just all about what I'm doing on the phone. And I kind of had to just give it up too and know that I was going to be awkward through some of it. And some of the leads, I started calling on the ones from like 4 years ago, right? That probably maybe aren't 100% ready to go right now, anyways. And it might be okay to work on them. Yeah, lots of repetition. I had to force repetition, really. It's the only way I could get it to where I allowed my brain to take in their response before asking the next good question.
So good. It sounds like you learned how to hold space.
Yes, absolutely.
Super good. Aaron, any comment on that?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it was just building the habits around the key metrics, right? Like the behaviors that matter to us. I think a lot of agents are really good at finding things that make them feel good and doing those things, making something really gorgeous in Canva or putting together like a mailing list or something like that, right? That we can feel a sense of accomplishment when we finish that project, but they don't necessarily move the needle forward. And I am guilty as charged, right? And so just really like making it so important to have those key metrics be a habit in your day, that these are the things that are going to continue to get you the business. That was a big part of why I took Rise and what I took away.
So good. Okay, so what I'm hearing from all three of you, and team leaders, listen up. Your agents are willing to do things that make them uncomfortable. When they get clarity, they understand how to show up, and that there's no one that can passively get to the skill set. Like, you've got to go all in, and you have to surrender to the ugliness in between that gets you from point A to point B, which is the hard part. So good. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. I'm curious for each of you here. Do you remember a specific training or like a phrase or concept from Rise that shifted something for you personally, professionally, both? Like, what specifically stood out? Jessica, why don't you start us off?
Well, I just use the acronym repeat, affirm, move on. That stopped me from answering my clients' questions for them. I had to wait for them to answer, repeat it, affirm what they just said, and then I could move on to my next question. That saved me just a lot of controlling the conversation, because personally I want the client to sort of control what they want me to know, but I need to ask the right questions.
Good. Okay, so if you guys don't know what she's talking about, in Rise, we have a concept called RAM. So when we get an objection, the agents are learning, instead of handling that objection the first time they hear it, we repeat it, we affirm it, we move on, which is essentially just labeling and validating and asking the next best question. And so I might say, I'm just looking. And Jessica, what could you say to that?
Great. I'm glad you're just looking. Where are you looking at?
Boom. Perfect. So good. Aaron, what about you?
With the risk of being redundant, I'm going to say RAM as well. I think it's actually helped me more in my personal life, right? Because we're in a pretty turbulent time right now. And sometimes like I've gotten to, maybe it's the age, I don't know. Maybe I've gotten to the age where I'm like, is this the best use of my time? Right. But at the same time, to speak to Jessica's point, yeah, I was talking to an agent on my team the other day, and they were like, I want to protect my agent from this house. And I was like, they get to choose, right? You can give them all of the advice that you want, but it's their choice in the end, right? If they like the house, despite all of the things, that your job's to help them facilitate it. So for sure, it's been great.
I love hearing that the way that it showed up for you in your personal life was impactful. Like, I always kind of warn you guys about that too. Like, the conversations are going to change around you. You're going to learn how to be a better communicator, and it's not going to be just in your business. You're going to see this show up in your personal life. And I love hearing that confirmation of that. Shaq, tell me what about for you? What stood out? Like, is there a specific phrase or concept from Rise?
Definitely. So when we went through, it was actually two separate trainings for me. One of the main ones was the one you did, was the emotional life cycle of a goal. That was game changing for me. One when you're first starting off and you're learning and you're going through the paces and learning all the processes of everything, you're doing all the right things. Sometimes stuff doesn't happen right away. But if like the blueprint of the journey, you understand why you're feeling a certain way and where you're at and everything and where it's going, it makes the unknown so much more easier to deal with. It helps you to focus more too. So the emotional life cycle of a goal, personal and business life, helped me out a lot. And then when we went through the book for exactly what to say for agents, objection handling was crazy. It was great for me. So both of those things together worked for my personal and work life a lot. I still use both. Like, matter of fact, I got the book right here. So
Thanks. Yeah, always. It's always right there.
And the other counterpoint to that is that the main book, right? The exactly what to say is just like easy to understand pearls of nuggets and wisdom. And it's really interesting that they've been able to encapsulate it for a couple of different industries. So
Yeah, when I first learned about this book, I started using it in trainings and stuff, and then it became indoctrinated in like the daily classes. And I do believe that it is one of the more powerful conduits that we have in the training, because it's not just like, hey, pick up this book and like take some stuff from it. Like, we go through the scenarios, the examples, we apply scenarios to them. You practice it in real life. You submit a question as your homework. And so what I love hearing about that, Shaq, is that you're applying it, because it's not just a book for you to like sit down and never go back to. Like, it's a book you get to go back to over and over again, and you get a lot of practical application and skill set in that. And then I also love that you mentioned emotional life cycle of a goal, which is kind of, because it wasn't exactly a RISE training, but it is a preliminary to RISE. Like, it's something that I will go and train to a lot of our teams. And I love that you mentioned, when you know what what the process is going to look like or what it's going to feel like, it's a lot easier to go through it. And I think that we kind of miss the mark on this as leaders, is just managing expectations. Managing expectations isn't just about saying, you have to do this and that's my expectation of you. It's saying, and when you do this, it might feel like this. Or here are some stories that might show up for you along the way. Or you might experience some doubt, and that's totally normal. Or you might think this, and that's totally normal. That's a good sign that you're like actually moving through the process. And when you can anticipate the friction, it's a little bit easier to brace for impact and to sustain through the process. So I love that you mentioned that.
I heard someone say once that most people overestimate how much they can do in a year, but underestimate how much they can do in 5 years. And like, when you kind of stack that with the emotional life cycle, like it kind of allows you to plan better and kind of get a good grasp on that.
You nailed that, though. Like, the uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, that's where people who plan for a year ahead and think it'll happen really small, like, that's the cycle they're typically stuck in. People who understand the emotional life cycle of a goal understand the lead in time to a long-term goal or 5 years and how much you can really get done.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So if your team leader was listening right now, which they most likely will, what would you say that you were struggling with that they might not have even realized, even prior to RISE, during RISE? Like, what is something that stood? And I ask this because our team leaders that listen to this are recruiting, they're leading agents, they're growing agents. What insights can you give a team leader that maybe they didn't notice?
I'd love to start with that. So for me personally, it's been knowing the right questions to ask. I'm more of I'm definitely not pushy agent. I'm going to send you properties if I feel like I've seen you even look at it on Zillow that you like it. But I didn't know the right questions to ask to get the buyers to open up about their true timeline, about truly what they're worried about. Because again, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know how to ask them about their pain points. I just expected people to tell me exactly what they wanted and what they thought and felt without me having to really ease it out of them in the right ways. So for me, it was asking the right questions, exactly what to say for real estate agents.
So you're saying that for team leaders listening in, have you found out, do your agents know what questions to ask? And can you actually give them that skill set? That's good. Aaron, what about you?
I mean, my team lead definitely knows this, but my weak point was systems. Just putting systems into place, keeping the consistency of systems. And it's been a year of growth that he and I are working on together, of like, how are we going to keep those systems disciplined? So yeah, and just kind of, again, drilling down on those key metrics, drilling down on those good behaviors, and seeing the abundance multiply.
And Chris Gurney is the master of like piling into the key activities, the key metrics that move things forward. Like he's a lead measure master.
Yeah, he really loves to dive into his metrics.
Yes, he does. Yes, I have actually. Hold on one sec, Shaquille. Sorry, I coach Chris Gurney. He's one of my one-on-one coaching clients, and we have to limit the amount of time he gets to play in the system. So that was one of the first things we did. Like, you get 1 hour, not 4, playing in the database.
We're still trying to tell him to not send leads over places.
Oh my gosh, that's a work in progress. Shaquille, what about you?
I would definitely say the follow up, knowing exactly, like learning the cadence is not so much of a problem now, but before, definitely following up, knowing what to say after you're like dealing with a long term nurture that you maybe tell you, yeah, I'm like a year out, and then knowing what to say after the third month in of following up with them and knowing what materials to give, how to provide value. Those type of things was definitely a problem before, but it's been a much greater help now after going through everything. That 10987 class helped a lot with that.
I love that you love the 10987. Yeah, and we actually train that a little differently now, but so you guys got it while I was there. You know what I'm hearing from the three of you right now, because I know for sure your team owners have done some version of training around this, or it's not something they've never done. But the point that I think it makes is things have to be repeated over and over again. You are 3 agents that are engaged, you are disciplined, and no one, I'm not trying to pretend that we're all perfect here. And you guys are pretty dialed in your business and your activities. And so you're not agents that are just kind of like blasé about the things that they're learning. You care about your career. You're constantly learning. You're constantly growing. And so as team owners, I think it's important to remember you have to keep asking the questions. You have to keep looking into even your new performers, your top performers, your mid performers. You've got to continually pay attention to what they're doing. So and it's not because you need to lord over them, but because they still are going to have gaps of support when things get busy, or when maybe it's just something they didn't know they didn't know. And so inspecting the database is a great way to get that information to find out. Like, let's just take the follow-up example. If I notice that there's a lot of leads that aren't getting checked in and I'm inspecting the database, now I know where I get to coach Shaquille and what support would actually look like for him. Because I can say, oh, hey, I'm noticing that your follow-up game might need some work. Let's talk about that. Like, do you feel like you know what to say? Instead of being like, hey, you're not following up and I've got a problem with that. We can get curious and figure out what's going on, because I can trust that they're here to do the work. They want to see their business grow. Okay, I'm going to just do a couple more questions here and then we'll wrap. What do you think your conversations and conversions in confidence, what do you think Rise did to impact like a shift over those 6 weeks?
It 180'd it for me from pretty low, not really knowing what on earth. I'm just going with the flow, really, to now being able to command the presence in front of my clients. And I mean, I'm 5'2", so it's a limiting belief to me. I know it's a limiting belief, but I just feel like everybody looks down at me and nobody, like, how do you take that seriously, a little girl? There's a limiting belief, I understand, but at least now I'm able to confidently stand in my place and ask the right questions and know that I sound and know that I know what I'm doing, but at least I'm coming across as if I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yes. And your confidence conveys. Shaquille, what about you?
Yeah, it's some of the same for me as well. Like my confidence, took a major shift. It's like a night and day thing. I went from like being the one guy that just sits in on all the meetings, being the sponge, absorbing everything, to being one of the mentors in the room and helping out the newer agents and everything. So like it's major change. It's been a great help. Conversion rate noticeably higher, 2-minute conversations happening more. Even when people tell me I'm not interested, it's like, oh, okay, we know how to get past that now and still get at least a conversation out of it. But like, it's been great.
So awesome. Aaron.
Shaq's in the journeyman part of this business now. He gets to teach and learn at the same time. I love it. It's such an important part of our career. You know what I mean? I think for me, the thing that changed the most was just giving myself the opportunities, right? If I'm doing the behaviors that are important to me, I have more opportunities to succeed. My conversion rate when I'm in front of people is good. And so just taking the leads that we had in the system, serving myself up the leads has been make significant success happen.
Yeah. Yeah, Aaron holds the record for second highest signed agreements during our 6-week training. He had 12 signed agreements. 12 signed agreements during our Rise training, which is insane because the goal is 3. But we have people that double it, triple it. But to get 12 was a really impressive thing. It was like two a week.
We had 2 in there that were doing really good. Travis was there too, and
Travis had 11, and Gail holds the record of 18. Yeah. Which also speaks to like when people run fast, when you have people around you that are like doing big things, like everyone, it rises the tides for everyone. How do you think not just in your business life, but also in your personal life, like, do you feel like people noticed a shift in you throughout that process or even after you got through Rise?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Everybody noticed, everybody that I'm around. It's kind of weird. I didn't even notice, like, people started pointing it out before I even started to acknowledge anything. Like at first it started with my team leader, Ross and Sarah. They started to notice how I was, and I was in the office every day. Other agents were coming up to me for advice and for help and things like that. And then even like my friends were telling me, well, first they were making fun of me for all the funny videos I'm doing. They're not funny videos. They're just social media videos. And they know I'm not the type of guy that's like, oh, well, look at this plate of food. But I'm taking pictures like, look at my plate of food. But like everybody started to notice that there was a dramatic change. Like I've always been a hard worker, but it was like the focus and the confidence behind being in a new field was a lot different. So yeah, started from the team and then it literally branched out to family and friends. Everybody was able to notice before I did.
Do you think your communication skills improved
Oh, definitely.
with your personal relationship?
Definitely. Being able to talk more with the people that I'm close with and make a more positive change with them affected my business in a positive way as well. So yeah, it definitely all connects. It's weird how it all connects.
Yeah. I love that. Aaron, what about you?
Just reading the book and the other book, right? The everything, what is it again? Exactly what to say. Sorry, not everything to say. Yeah, exactly what to say.
What to say for real estate agents?
Yeah, but what it does is it just kind of breaks down thought patterns of other people and helps you to just kind of be more empathetic and make more sense and be more thoughtful. You know what I mean? I was talking to a newer agent the other day and he was really stressing over his script and he had a big beefy script. And I was like, look, man, you're busy. You have a full day. You've got people calling you all day. If you were looking for a house, what would you want someone to say to you that would engage you to actually talk to them, right? Like not salesy. How would you do that? And just kind of the stepping back just a little bit before you react, kind of being more thoughtful. Yeah, I think multiple people have remarked on that. So
I love that though, that it's especially that it's noticeable. And I'm glad you brought that up. And Jessica, I want to come to you next here in just a second. But sometimes we get people in the very beginning that are flabbergasted that we don't give a lot of scripts inside of Rise. And I'm a big fan of scripts. Okay, I do. I like scripts a lot. I use scripts for everything. But what our major focus in Rise is conversion competency. And so you kind of subliminally message the whole time. I kind of jokingly say, like, hey, I'm getting ready to brainwash you over the next 6 weeks, where you don't realize it, but at the end, maybe you do realize it, but in the moment, it's kind of hard to see it, that you're learning how to be more conversational. And that makes you higher at converting than like learning how to deliver on a specific script. That ambiguity and uncertainty can feel a little bit jarring and make you feel a little off balance, but like it ultimately, you guys are absolutely like super confident in this area. Jessica, tell me a little bit about yours.
My happiness level has gone through the roof, which then in turn boosts my confidence in everything that I do, definitely including real estate. So I think if this makes sense, joy just kind of pours out of me whenever I'm in front of a client because I love what I get to do and I love what I get to talk about and share what I know with other people. So everything through this has made my confidence go up 100%, which then in turn, I'm way happier. Just happy. This is a good feeling to get to live in. It's just happiness, comfortable happiness.
Yeah, one of the things that we say in day one is my goal is that you can make as much money as you want to make and have as much quality of life as you want to have. Like that you get to live your life. Doesn't mean you're not going to sacrifice and work hard and all those things, but that like you can do both and it feels really good. I love hearing that. All right, let's wrap with this question. If you were talking directly to a team owner, if that team owner was wondering, does this training actually really stick? What would you tell them? And more than just a yes or no, like what makes it stick if you think that it does?
We have Chris's team is in a growth period and he's got a pretty big team anyway. And we make Rise a pillar of that training, right? And I've been in this industry long enough that I know that the attrition rate is 9 out of 10, right? We're going to lose 10 people. With the exception of one person that we brought on in the last 6 months, everybody's still there, right? And so we're seeing, because a lot of times in real estate, it's here's the keys, drive the car. There's just not enough direction. And one of the things, like I said, that we want to focus on our team is training. And so just to have like the immediate leg up of getting in the Rise training, getting them drilled through the program, and just getting in their heads how to be conversational, how to do that conversion competency has made a big effect on the retention of our new team members.
That's freaking cool. I wasn't expecting that answer, and I'm glad I heard it. I love that. Jessica?
I love that answer too. But no, likewise, I think it harbors a new love for real estate, at least in what I've seen on my side with me and then Ashley Wright. We did it previously together. We would go on and do open houses together and then watch each other script practice on clients that would walk into our open house. So we just loved it. It kind of brought us together closer as a team because we knew exactly, we all had the same obligations every week. We would come together, go through Rise, maybe get on some script practice or weekly Inferno. And I agree with you, Aaron. I think it brings us together better as a team, but empowers us to go on in our own businesses and do exactly what we need to do because we already know what we need to do. It's there with us. We've practiced it twice already that week with another stranger, so it doesn't feel so scary. It's just wonderful. It just reboosts your love for real estate, and to me.
So good. I love it. Shaqueal, take us home on this.
If I was speaking to a team leader wondering about the Rise, I would tell them that they would be doing their team a disservice if they had way to access this and they were not using it. It's complete game changer, complete life changing. Like you guys already mentioned, it does bring your team together. But if you want to develop a culture of confident agents in your team, this is the program to go with. Like, it definitely helps the individual agent with, especially if you're new to the business, like new or senior, either way it helps you. But as a newer side of being an agent, it definitely felt like it gave me everything I needed to be able to move forward successfully and confidently. And I feel like each individual agent on a team getting that level of help, you can't ignore that.
Right. And there are other ecosystems out there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to mention any because that's not probably kosher. But at the same time, right, the individual focus, like Shaqueal said, right, the one-on-one attention that you are getting in it does make a big difference. And some of these other ones, you kind of feel like a faceless, nameless.
And that, I got to tell you, as someone who's been exclusively on Zoom for the past 5 or 6 years doing trainings this way, it's not easy to the fact that you guys you feel seen in that class, and that we even feel having like this kind of personal connection. That's got to be probably the thing I feel that's most rewarding about that. Like that you guys feel like it can even feel one-on-one because we are in a sea of faces. There's 25 to 50 people in every class.
Yeah, I feel like we're all just in a room together because we can see all of our faces, right? I can see you eating. I mean, we're all sitting together, right? So I love it. We feel like we always joke that like, well, we can't do this because Mia's going to see it at some point. We just feel like you're always in the room with us and we love it. I love it.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Well, I couldn't be more proud of not just like the fact that you guys get through the training and what you did with it, but I follow your social media and I interact with you after the class. And like, I love seeing your success. I love seeing you winning. I love seeing your life just being what you want it to be. And I love that you're living it and that you're succeeding in your business as well. So I'm proud of you all. That's our episode for today. We'll see you on the next one.